Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Steven Universe Retrospectives, and today we're going to be discussing episodes 55 and 56 of Steven Universe, Shirt Club, and Love Letters. We got us a couple filler episodes this time around, but thankfully they're not bad filler episodes. As always, let's talk about the odd-numbered episode first. In this case, Shirt Club actually opens with Steven creating a poster. You see, his dad is going to be opening up guitar lessons, and, well, he's put Steven in charge of being his PR department, so to speak. As such, Steven ends up making a poster for it. It's supposed to advertise for him, and then Steven being Steven, it's crudely drawn, kind of makes Greg look, well, cool, though obviously through the eyes of a kid who draws something for their dad saying they're the best dad. And of course, and it's just all crooked and naive and just it's unprofessional. It's just very unprofessional. But Steven's proud of it, and he makes copies of the poster and spreads them around Beach City. These posters end up getting the attention of Buck Dewey, son of the mayor, and Buck actually likes them and proposes that maybe he and Steven should put them on a t-shirt, which Steven is all for because, well, he thinks it'll get his dad more business. As such, using Buck's connections, i.e. his dad, they're able to get access to various printing equipment, as his dad likes to print up stuff for campaign slogans and so forth, and so they're able to get the shirts printed and get them distributed to everyone in Beach City. Which, I mean, they load them into a t-shirt cannon and just shoot them at people. And for the most part, it looks like people really do like the shirts and are happy for them. The only problem is that they don't seem to be getting Greg any business. Don't get me wrong, plenty of people have shown up to see Greg, but none have stayed to actually get to guitar lessons, which Steven is kind of getting concerned with. He brings these concerns to Buck, but Buck says that they're just talking about the shirts, so it's fine, as people continue to not get lessons, Steven thinks that maybe the shirts are a failure. But Buck says it's all fine, that the shirts are art, and art has its own meaning. Steven's kind of flattered and saying, "Oh, my art's not that great," and Buck then says, "Yeah, I know, it's terrible. Yeah, your art's terrible." And Buck soon reveals what the appeal of the shirts is. It's ironic. Pretty much the picture that Steven drew is brimming with childlike idealism for his dad, and combined with how crudely drawn it is, it's funny. Pretty much to everyone in Beach City, it's like a joke, and Buck is just making Steven and his dad the punchline. Steven, of course, doesn't like this, but Buck pretty much says, "I'm the one that makes the art. I'm not going to be stopping anytime soon." Though he does say yes to step away because his dad's going to be commemorating a bench. And Steven, well, he's kind of in a pickle. He goes to Crystal Gems for help, but they say this is kind of an abstract problem that they can't just hit, so they tell Steven that he should probably evaluate his options and come up with his own solution. And Steven does find one. You see, while Steven was preparing to get all the shirts printed, he happened to come across something that Buck drew when he was a kid. Something his own crude drawing that said, "Vote for my dad," with pictures of a young kid Buck holding his dad's hand. And with this, as such, armed with this and pretty much the picture embarrassed Buck, though his dad thought it was very heartfelt. As such, Steven decides he's going to use this. As such, he ends up using the picture as a baseline and makes t-shirts off of that, and while people are gathered to commemorate the bench, Steven ends up shooting the crowd with the t-shirt cannon, which, funny thing, when he shoots the mayor, his Secret Service see it, and instead of blocking the shot, end up just running away. But pretty much, people do see these shirts, and, well, the same thing happens with Buck that happened with Steven. Everyone thinks the shirts are hilarious, and the only person that seems to be touched by it is his dad, which both these feelings combined give Buck perspective, and he quickly realizes, "Oh crap, I was the asshole." As such, the episode ends with him going to Steven and his dad and apologizing for it. Steven says it's fine, and rather than asking to get like a picture with Steven's dad, he decides that he wants to get guitar lessons. So, oh yeah, all well that ends well. But this also leads us into love letters. In this case, we once again see Steven's mailman, who I haven't really talked about a lot because I think he only appeared in like one episode prior to this, but pretty much, apparently, the reason why he hasn't been around ever since his last appearance, which is all the way back in Cheeseburger Backpack, was because he's been traveling. Specifically, he went to Kansas, which, yeah, something I've neglected to mention is that the Steven universe takes place in its own little continuity, and I do mean that in the sense of it has its own reality, and thus a lot of things that are constants for us are not for there. Like, for example, there's different numbered states. Many of them are not the same ones as ever. There are different cities, and there are a bunch of other aspects of the world that I could go on and on about because I'm a sucker for alternate universes, but pretty much I'm not going to get into it until it becomes important later. But point is, he went to Kansas because that's apparently the acting capital of the world, and Jamie is an aspiring thespian who wishes to make a name for himself. However, he claims that he grew nostalgic to be a mailman again, so he returned to Beach City and took back up his job, and he's here to deliver a bunch of packages to Steven because, well, he's the only mailman that knows where Steven lives, so yeah, he's got a lot of stuff for him. However, as he has Steven signed for this, someone arrives on the scene. In this case, Garnet, who rises from the ocean she rises from the ocean because she was searching the ocean floor for lapis and jasper, and, well, she's not having any luck. And the instant Jamie sees her, he's awestruck. Like, he's rendered speechless, he's just blubbering, can barely form a coherent sentence, and his cheeks are red especially when Garnet just casually mentions how she was able to drive to the bottom of the ocean because she's a very good swimmer. As such, Jamie's just like awestruck, and while Steven and Connie are looking through his mail, which in this case are for creatures called sea pals, which Steven ordered one of, but because one didn't arrive, he continued ordering it. As they're going through it, Jamie comes back, and he's got a letter for them. This one for Garnet. So Garnet and Connie are kind of perplexed by this, and thus later on when Garnet comes back, because, well, she's just got... And later on when they deliver the letter to Garnet, well, it turns out it's a love letter from Jamie asking out Garnet on a date. Something that Steven and Garnet think and realize is never going to happen because, well, Garnet's taken. Because, yeah, as we established like 3 or 4 episodes ago, she's a fusion. And she's a fusion of 2 gems who are in a relationship. So it's kind of hard for her to be in a relationship if she already is a relationship. Plus, as she said, 3's a crowd. So yeah, we know she's not polyamorous. The point is, she ain't interested in Jamie, and she's not interested in Jamie, and, well, she's not good, and so she doesn't want to go on a date with him. As such, they decide to draft a letter back to Jamie telling him that Garnet's uninterested, but Garnet being Garnet, she's blunt and straight to the point, pretty much saying, no, the end, forever, and even after that. So it's pretty harsh, but again, it's Garnet. So Steven and Connie go find Jamie as he's just kind of sitting by the ocean contemplating things, and they're about to give him the letter until Jamie and his, well, as Jamie is just sitting there contemplating, he reveals why he really came back to Beach City. It turns out he didn't just come back because he was nostalgic for being a mailman. It's because he crashed and burned in Kansas. He got constant rejections to every audition he went to, and it just kind of kept piling on top of him until he realized, if I get one more rejection, I think I'm going to break. So he came back to Beach City for simpler stuff. As such, he does tell this stuff to Steven and Connie, and upon hearing that, they realize they can't give him the letter. As such, they end up running off, and what they decide to do is that they want to let Jamie off gently. As such, they erase the letter and end up writing another one that plays off of the tone of his letter, because he waxed poetic when he wrote to Garnet, making metaphors about how she was his surgeon, she held his heart in her hand, and how he was the camellia who bloomed for her moonlight, and so forth. And so they say, actually, no. And as such, they try to play off that by saying, actually, I'm burning something that burns up your camellia. I have to return your heart to you. And I say save it a second opinion. And Steven even adds, you have nice hair. And they send it out, and they think all said and done. Jamie got the message. He didn't. If anything, it made it worse, as that night while Steven's playing video games and it's raining, Jamie is right outside his house proclaiming his love for Garnet and asking her to come to him. She even tries to tell him to get lost, but Garnet ends up coming out and seeing Jamie going nuts, and when he presents the letter, she just flatly says, I didn't write that. Yeah, and so, yeah, at this point she finally does just yell at Jamie that she's not interested, she never will be interested, and she wants him to go away. And this just causes Jamie to run away. As such, the next day, Steven and Connie are contemplating how Jamie's doing, and they end up getting their answer as, instead of Jamie coming by, it's a different male person who was told that Jamie came by and pretty much traded roots. And so she talked about how his heart's been broken, and he said it all dramatically and so forth. And so Steven and Connie feel guilty, But Garnet stops by and sees what's going on, and they explain what happened, and so she says that she'll go talk to Jamie. And sure enough, he's back at his brooding spot as he's sending out letters to the ocean, and Garnet comes up to him, and what I do like is that Garnet does try to actually talk. She treats him like an adult in the next conversation, as she ends up telling him how she didn't want to hurt his feelings or make him feel bad, but at the same time, well, he's just got to kind of accept it. Like he claims that he loved her from the moment he met her, but Garnet says, "You don't know a thing about me. You don't know a thing about me. Love at first sight does not exist. Love takes work. Love takes time, and well, you just kind of and ultimately she just kind of tells him how he's convinced himself that he's a lovesick fool. But at the end of the day, but she also tells him, "You done that's some good acting there. You managed to fool not only these kids but yourself, and if you really want to get somewhere, you should start with some local theater." And so she gives him a pat on the back and walks off. Jamie just kind of contemplates all this and realizes that actually was sound advice, and it does kind of get him out of his funk, though it's clear he's not like 100%. It's clear he's in a better mood than he was before, and the episode ends with Stephen and Connie asking if those were other letters to Garnet he threw out. He's like, "No, that was today's mail route." And so Stephen and Connie offer to help him pick it up, so. Alright, first off, let's talk about Shirt Club. I think Shirt Club is a pretty good episode. It's once again like I said, both these episodes are kind of filler, though this one is a bit more. Though this one kind of feels like it belongs more in season 1, helped by the fact that Garnet has her season 1 design. So it might have been an episode placed out of order, but at its core, it's just a pretty simple episode. In this case, we once again focus on a character from Beach City. In this case, Buck Dewey. We've seen Buck Dewey in a couple episodes prior to this, well, 3 mostly, but 2 where he's been part of the center of attention. In that case, those are the episodes with the cool kids. In this case, though, we actually do see him in more center stage, and like I said, like I've complimented in the past, he's still written like a teenager in this episode. But as I've also commented, while they do still write him like a teenager, they don't write him like a regular dumbass teenager. And in this case, they use both of those aspects of his character finally as they actually give him a character arc that makes sense for him. In this case, when he makes the t-shirts mocking Steven's picture of his dad, as for him, it's just a funny gag. He'll send it out to everyone he thinks it'll be good for a laugh for everybody, and while Steven objects to it, he still says he's going to keep doing it because he thinks it's funny. And yeah, that's something that a typical asshole teenager would do. They think it's just good for a laugh. Yeah, he's glad that people are liking the shirt, but not for the reason Steven wants them to like it. And when Steven does bring up his objections, he just kind of brushes them off. However, what I do like is that part of the character arc is that he actually does learn empathy when his own work is thrown back in his face. In this case, when Steven pulls the exact same thing that Buck did to him with Buck's design. I like that. Without really showing any words, they do showcase that Buck ends up learning his lesson in that one moment. Like when he sees everyone making fun of this thing he made when he was a kid, but his dad still loving it, it makes him realize kind of realize that he was the jerk there. And it's kind of showcased, honestly, kind of humorously, while also kind of brilliantly. In this case, he sees the other teenagers making fun of the shirt and saying, "Wow, this shirt's hilarious, so much better than Guitar Dad," and then sees his dad actually just holding the shirt, like, just kind of smiling. And you just see him, he's normally expressionless, but you see like a tear go down his cheek. You realize, that's empathy right there. And I do like that. It's a nice little thing, and it works together, and it works once again with how well they write the teenager characters in this show. Again, Buck Dewey, like I said, they're written like regular dumbass teenagers, but they're not assholes. And this episode clearly showcases that. Because teenagers kind of are in that phase when they're not exactly when they don't exactly lack empathy, but they don't fully understand it either. And that's the case with Buck here. He pretty much just humored Steven by making the t-shirts because he thought it'd be funny, but ultimately when the shoe was put on the other foot and he realized, oh, this doesn't feel bad, he actually does learn a lesson and tries making up for it when he apologizes to Steven, his dad, and actually wants to get some guitar lessons, which I I do like that. I do like that they, again, don't write these guys like they're asshole teenagers. An asshole teenager would double down on their stance or get angry at Steven for or throwing everything back in his face, and then he'd have to deal with the consequences while still being embarrassed. But Buck ends up learning from Steven's little lesson by having his own work be exploited and utilized to mock him and his dad, and ultimately he realizes, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So I do like that. I like how they work it in. So I think really that's kind of the biggest thing with the episode. It's, again, mostly it's just pretty much filler by the end of the day, but it's entertaining filler. I like seeing Steven go through this. He has to work his own issues out. I like Steven's pretty much clever form of revenge to get it done. I like seeing one of the side characters, in this case, learning a lesson, having him be more center stage. Overall, it's a pretty decent episode. Not great because Buck is still not really a big important character, a big important character, nothing big or plot important happens, but it's still a fine episode and enjoyable in its own right. And as for Love Letters, I think Love Letters is just fine. I think Love Letters is just fun. Garnet, as I've always said, is best mom, and part of the reason why she is the best is how blunt she can be and how funny that is. In this case, when she learns that Jamie has a crush on her, she just bluntly says, "Yeah, no, not interested," and without really even considering his feelings, and in a way that is kind of funny. But I think what makes it even funnier is Jamie's over-the-top reactions to getting the news. Like, he's thinking, "Oh no," it's like, "Oh Garnet, my heart weeps for thee, come to me, my love," and Garnet's just like, "Dude, I don't know what you're smoking." I think that's really funny. And I do kind of like that she's kind of the one that keeps bringing him back to reality in this episode. When he goes over the top, she just stays level-headed. When he breaks down, and convinces himself that he's heartbroken, forlorn for his lost love, she just goes to him and says, "No, you're not. You just think you are. You're a good actor. You really should focus on that, and start small, dude." I like that. I like that throughout the episode, and I think that's another thing that I like. Garnet does actually kind of come up with a solution. While Jamie, I like that she doesn't humor Jamie. She doesn't lead him on. She just politely tells him, "No, I'm not interested." But she's the rock. She's the stable factor throughout the episode. She's the one that tells Jamie that, "No, I'm not interested, and I never will be." But then when she sees how badly that actually hurt him, she also comes back and tells him, "Look, dude, didn't mean to hurt you, but you can't just expect me to fall in love with you right then and there. I don't know you and you don't know me." And by the end, she does give him sound advice and works him and helps lift him back up a little. I like that. I think that's another thing that helps make her character strong. She can be very level-headed when she wants to be. And throughout the episode, like I said, she's the one that brings Jamie back down to earth. And by the end, it does work. And by the end, it does help kind of level Jamie out and make him realize, yeah, he kind of was going over the top there. Though, so it's a fact that he clearly doesn't want to fully accept by the end, but it's one that he has to sit with. And I do like that by the end, they do showcase that while Jamie has learned a lesson, he's not back to being himself again. It's just like he has to sit with it and I do like that. I do think it works again. So I do think that's amusing. So like I said, I think it was a good. So like I said, Love Letters I think is fun because of the over the top reactions and how Garnet acted as the straight man to that to kind of level it out, which led to some very funny moments with Jamie going over the top while Garnet just stayed stoic. But it also led to some nice moments that also showed that showed the best of Garnet's character as she helped kind of bring Jamie down and showcase how the level head and use that same level-headedness to pretty much bring him back to reality without breaking his spirit. So overall, I like it. Both are fun. So like I said, Shirt Club, decent episode, had a nice little moral lesson. I still like that they didn't write. I do like that they don't write the teenagers like assholes, but again, it's still a side character who's really not that deep when it comes down to stuff. So overall, that just kind of makes the episode decent. And the next episode is just fun for the over-the-top reactions and Garnet's level reactions, combined with an honestly nice message by the end with Garnet pretty much using that same little headedness to bring Jamie back to reality. So overall, both are fine episodes, both are enjoyable. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll hopefully see you next week. Take care.